Welcome, welcome back to the Mission Accepted podcast show. And mission could be no more applicable. It's the ultimate word for our guest today. It's going to be an incredible show. You guys, you know that I tell you that you're the best. You're the absolute best audience. You share, you spread the word. It is so incredible, all the comments coming back. And I have to thank you on behalf of all the podcast guests that we've had, because they tell me when you reach out and you guys are having some great bridge relationships, which is really what this platform is all about. So not only are you the best, but you are the most open-minded. You are the most open-minded. And that is, again, very applicable to today's guest. So Tom is a researcher. And I was sharing with him pre-show. It's like, Tom, I've been describing you to people that I've talked to after we've shared, because I, as you guys know, I come from a pretty strong metaphysical background. I'm like, this guy's into energetics. It's metaphysical. They're like, what is it? I'm like, he's going to be on the show. I'm going to be able to describe what he's doing even more. So when we were sharing about that, it just made perfect sense. He's like, this is really a new time and it's a new science, which requires new vocabulary, a new way of thinking. So look, I'm going to ask you guys to open your minds and listen to what this gentleman has been working on for an extensive period of time. I'm not going to talk about that. He's going to talk about that, but this show is about taking on the mission. And when we had, our first 5 minutes in conversation, I'm like, not only has he taken on the mission, he's taken on a big chunk. Like this is not only a large project, but it's also changing the way people think, which, as someone who had the first aromatherapy, home party company in a direct sales model, and the first, I had aromatherapy sharing the word of good health before there was a Starbucks or a cell phone. And I can tell you, it took some work. People are like, oh, you pioneered. I'm like, I still got scars, because there was a lot of people that were like, aroma what? Like, you want me to shake what? Some herbs out of a bottle and it's going to make me feel better? Like, what are you? And I heard all sorts of names. And I'm sure Thomas had a few people going, who is this guy? What's the deal? Actually at work, they used to call me Shirley MacLaine. They're like, oh, here comes Shirley. And if you know anything about Shirley MacLaine, for some people, they thought she was quite out there. So introducing a new science or a new way of thinking or a new technology or something that is difficult to conceptualize or understand in the first go around, I just want to let you know that's fine. Be open-minded to hearing what you hear, because even for me, I'm excited about today's show because me and Tom had a conversation enough for me to conceptualize what it is that he's doing, get excited about what he's doing. And then I'm like, I need more. And when it comes to new information, we need to rewire our brains to understand newness and more, which is why we are creatures of habit, right? So be open, all you listeners and viewers. He is going to do a slideshow, not a slideshow, but he's going to show a picture of an instrument. And so you're all going to have to watch it, but we will include it when we send out the show. Enough of me talking. You're not here to listen to me. You're here to listen to Tom. So thank you so much for coming on to Mission Accepted today.
Yeah, a pleasure to be here. Thank you, ladies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So please do share with our audience, what is it that you're doing? And, maybe how long you've been doing it, and honestly, I have to ask you, what did you decide about taking this mission on?
So I'm a researcher, and I work with a concept known as scalar light. It's not electricity. It's light from the sun and the stars. That's what I'm working with. What many people call quantum energy, synonymous terms would be chi or prana or consciousness. There is a consciousness energy. I work with it every day. There is an energy outside of electricity and magnetism. That's very real. And what I'm trying to propose to the audience is that there's a new paradigm, there's a new opportunity, and many benefits can be derived from this new science. So I work with scalar light, scalar energy. It's quantum energy. I have instruments that control that energy. So this is a repeatable function. These are scientifically calibrated instruments that I can perform certain functions, scientific work functions. And with that, I've been able to improve human and animal health. We'll get into that.
Wow. Okay. So I can hear the audience. That's kind of how it works for me. And I know you get that. So they're like, how? Like, how did this come to you? Or how did you, I think we can all understand quantum physics, quantum energy, that conceptually, I love how you explained it. It's energy outside of what we know. So maybe give us an idea of how, or how did this come to you? How did you discover this? Because this is very new.
It is new, and it came to me from God's inspiration. It's an afflatus. It's mysticism, and I won't back down from that statement. So what am I getting at? This is not taught by academia. This is a new science, and the greatest scientist thus far that has mastered scalar energy is a man by the name of Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla, the great scientist. And there's been a few others, but other than that, very few scientists really have ever even considered that there's a second energy. So it's a blessing from God. I do believe this energy is from God. I'm working with a divine energy. This energy fills the universe. Well, as far as I'm concerned, only God can fill the universe instantaneously. And that's what this energy is. It's consciousness that fills the universe. So we're working really with a step above here. This is not slow poke electricity. This is divine energy.
So when you talk about working with it, what is that? So, there's those of us that have gone for a Reiki treatment, or those that have gone for, aura clearing, or so that's, there's a certain for outside of the body kind of energy. When you say working with it, what does that look like? I know that you work with photographs, which is like, how incredible is that? Maybe explain what working with it looks like.
Okay. All right. They are, again, scientifically calibrated instruments. I'm going to screen share, and I'm going to offer to the audience, those who are watching, can see one of the instruments that I work with. Now, that is a scalar light instrument. They're custom-built instruments. And what is the point of that instrument? It works in a different dimension. That instrument will access a scalar energy dimension outside of electricity. So when that instrument is operating, I am working what some people might call a wormhole, or a different dimension, or a parallel universe. The point is, it is indeed a second dimension. There is another dimension, and I'm working in that other dimension with that instrument. And because of that fact, on account of that fact, I enjoy a different set of rules and principles. That instrument allows me to work outside of the electromagnetic spectrum, and the physics, the actual laws of physics are different when working with a scalar energy instrument as opposed to an electrical instrument.
Very cool. Very cool. So you said that you were going to get into how you do that, or when you have this energy. We've just seen the machine. I love parallel universe. I love that, because it just, for me and my brain, that just makes complete sense. It's like you have universal energy, now you have a parallel universe. So what do you do with that? How does it benefit?
Yeah. And again, working with this other dimension, a scalar energy dimension, we can enjoy, if you will, a control that we cannot experience with electricity and magnetism. So what's the point of an instrument? In some fashion, it controls nature. It gives you mastery over nature. Those of you who have cars or bicycles, you are overcoming gravity. Okay? You're using some type of instrument, some type of scientific instrument, if you will, to overcome gravity and to move about from point A to point B. Well, my instrument that I'm working with allows me to do incredible things by way of a photograph of a person or an animal. So let me clarify that. I never work in person. The instrument that I showed you works by way of a person's photograph, because a person's photograph has their signature. So this is not a biological process, it's an informational process. If I hold up my photograph has a signal, it has a signature. Embedded on my photograph is an actual divine signature. And when I work with people around the world, I only work with their photograph, because everybody has a light fingerprint or a light signature. So what's the point? You don't visit an office. You do not visit my laboratory. You email me a photograph, and through your photograph, I can access your quantum being. I can access what we would consider to be your consciousness or your aura.
Okay, so once you do that, that's where the work that you're talking about, when we work on somebody, that's when you can work on someone, that makes perfect sense. I love the whole idea around fingerprint, picture, signature. That makes perfect sense. What are you working on? What are people sending you their pictures for? What is this divine energy? What is it doing for people?
Many people have told me that with these scalar light instruments that we can balance their 7 chakras. Now, this is in their point of view, because after sessions, they feel better. They have a sense of tranquility. Well, I would concur. Why? Because the 7 chakras are really 7 points of scalar light. So when people would email me a photograph, I would actually place their photograph inside the instrument. The instrument would, again, balance their 7 chakras, their meridians, or even their brain waves. And the upshot, the result is people feel better. People say invariably, you've done something, I can sleep better, I have greater mental clarity. All of this is by way of a person's photograph that's a connection to their aura, if you will. This is not, again, a biological process. It's an informational process. And after performing this work now, I've had hands-on experience for over 30 years. It works. This is a reality. This indeed does work by virtue of the fact that a photograph of a person is their bilocated copy. So you don't have to come to my laboratory in Florida. You send your photograph to my laboratory in Florida and you bilocate. You can be at 2 places simultaneously in a scalar energy paradigm.
Very good. Very good. Now, are people reaching out to you and they want you to, because they want to feel better, because they want to be preventative around their health? Where does it find its application? So is it someone's like, hey, you know what, I'm struggling financially, let's do this. Hey, it's more of a health thing. Hey, it's more of a emotional thing or a condition thing. Like, you've been doing it for 30 years. Have you been studying for 30 years and doing it for 5? Like, what's that 30 years been about? That's a long time, my friend.
Yeah, it is. I'm 62 years of age, just to put this into context.
Okay, well, if you don't see Tom right now, when he said he's 62, you get this all the time. I'm sure you do not even look close to 62 years old.
Thank you. And I attribute that to good living and scalar light, the divine light, the light of Jesus Christ keeps me young. Yeah. So what are we getting at here? Well, with these instruments, we can perform functions. Now, I mentioned one of the functions is we can balance the brain waves, the chakras. Another function of this instrument is we can send energy and we can break apart, we can disassemble a parasite or a bacterium or a virus. So through a person's photograph, we can identify in their information field the presence of protozoan, bacteria, viruses, and destroy that in the information field. Now, why is that important? Well, everybody has microbial infection. And some of those microbes are life-threatening. And I'll give an anecdotal story at the end of our talk that will really pique the interest of people as to how effective this is. So, again, keep in mind, I'm working remotely with a person's photograph. Mm-hmm. People can bilocate to my laboratory through that quantum field, that scalar energy field. I'm working with scientific instrumentation, so hence the process is repeatable. And to give a parallel, if some people have healing hands, which are scalar energy hands, I have a scalar energy instrument that can heal.
Right. So we're talking about the physicality of a body, which plays into, spirituality and how we play in the world, and it affects everything. But mostly it's about physicality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned animals?
Yes. People love their pets, and we have great success with dogs, cats, horses, birds. And I will note that these animals, obviously, no placebo effect. I wouldn't suggest a placebo effect, because an animal, a pet, does not know that they're being treated or that somebody emailed their photograph. Now, we've worked with elephants in Asia that had viral infection. And after we worked with these elephants in Asia, the elephants healed. They no longer had a viral infection. So time and distance do not in any way hinder the operation of these instruments. We can transcend time and space. Now, keep in mind, if this energy, if this is the energy of God, God is everywhere, and his energy, his light is everywhere. This is what we're working with, a divine essence that's everywhere. So there cannot be any physical barrier to this energy.
Very cool. Very cool. How long does a session per se take? Someone sends in their picture. How long does this working process take for somebody?
I like to give people the full boat, so to speak. So when I work with people, we have a standardized session. We work around the clock, 24 hours a day. So for 1 hour a day, we'll balance their chakras. Another hour a day, we will identify target microbes, germs. And the remaining 22 hours, Debbie, we will assemble, we will actually create micronutrients. And in so doing, that's a 24-hour schedule. And I'm adamant about that because I want people to feel the full benefit. So I never turn these instruments off. They're always working. They're always providing some type of helpful benefit to people.
So not only are you working with what is, but you're also, I mean, putting in micronutrients is like what we do, right? We take micronutrients. It's very, to me, that's more preventative, right?
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
And
right.
I think everybody in this audience would consider that proper nutrition is the assured path to long-standing health. Many people realize that poor nutrition, the lack of the proper minerals and antioxidants, etc., will produce some type of physiological problem, some type of biological problem.
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking to someone who's been studying anti-aging for 30 years. So you want to talk about, preventative and, nutrients and oxygenating your cells and mitochondria and all that good stuff. Yeah. Can you give us, that was really interesting what you shared about the elephant. So we kind of have an idea of people so I'm assuming, so you're working with them for a month. You're working with this picture for a month.
Yes.
Okay. And has there been other people? Is there anything else that you can share a little bit to bring it home for people?
I'll speak of that anecdotal story. We're working with an HIV/AIDS clinic in Delhi, India. It's known as Om Prakash. And there's over 9,000, 10,000 people at that clinic who are HIV positive. Now, keep in mind, I only work with a person by way of their photograph. This is an informational field. It's not a biological process. And we've worked with half of the people who've joined that community. 5,000 people have submitted their photograph for scalar light sessions. Now, these are people who are HIV positive. Okay? This is quite a clinical study. Quite a clinical study. Now, after working with 5,000 people who were HIV positive, nobody, if they had a follow-up test, PCR test, nobody is showing any viral load. Secondly, everybody feels better and they're gaining weight and their appetite has returned. And then the third, what I would consider favorable outcome is their CD4 count. Their lymphocytes have significantly increased. After the scalar energy sessions, you realize HIV targets certain immune responses, and the CD4 lymphocytes are targeted by the HIV virus in many ways. So consider what I'm saying. An HIV community in Delhi, India, 5,000 people have submitted their photograph. We've treated all 5,000 with the scalar light instrument that I've demonstrated at the beginning of our talk. And those 5,000 people feel better, everybody, man, woman, and child. So we'll let the world wake up to the fact that this works, and that 5,000 out of 5,000 people cannot be wrong.
So they were retested? Is that?
Yes, they were retested. There's no viral load.
Wow. So that's that's a pretty good study. That's a pretty good study. And that takes, I'm sure you experience this because and I understand working in the metaphysics and it takes a while for that information to land. And I think it takes an information to land. I remember when I first branched into aromatherapy in Canada. There's a news station called CTV, and Lloyd Robinson is just a famous icon. And he heard of what I was doing. And so they interviewed me, why would you refer people to aromatherapy? What is it about this herbal thing that's coming along that you say may, we have to say the word may prevent colds, it may prevent this, it may prevent that. And I said, it takes a while for people to conceptualize new ways around their body, because we've been raised anyways in the country that I'm in, and we've been raised to, go to a doctor. The doctor gives us the best advice that he's got at that time. And then that's really it. We haven't even been raised. And most of us now, I'm not 20, so maybe 20-year-olds would challenge that. And they say, I am. Maybe we've made some break in some history that they're not even going and getting a second opinion. Like a doctor can give an opinion. And we used to feel like we were disrespecting our doctor somehow by going and getting a second opinion. And I remember breaking that conversation, and I'm talking 20 years ago, on CTV News, which is a big news station, and people contact me going, I feel uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable. We are raised that there's a certain thing that we do in terms of our health. And so this takes quite a while to land. It's that really wow moment. Like that's a wow moment for me. And I play in this world. It's a wow moment to digest that, because of course the next obvious conversation or the next thought process is, why are we not all doing it? Why is this not done by the medical system? Why are the governments not running this through every country? Why is that? And that's, the mature answer is many reasons, economics, fundamentals, what that looks like for different corporations, what you're going up against, philosophies, and what have you. So what's your, do you get that from people? Like
all the time, Deborah. All the time. Now, I want to make this very clear. I work alone, not by choice. These are custom-built scalar energy instruments. I have to factor in the fact that Galen Hieronymus, a great inventor, I borrowed and copied much of his work. But notwithstanding all of that, this is a simple method in which a photograph, everybody has a cell phone, practically everybody can send in a photograph. We can eradicate microbial disease through a person's photograph. Now, the listening audience, and everybody's astute in this listening audience, realizes the impediment that I experience as a scientist, not through the instrumentation. The instrumentation works, not through the science. The laws of science are immutable. The difficulty is the will of man. Is some people stand in the way of this as a roadblock. Now, let me go back a little. This is Tesla technology. This is the energy from the sun and the stars. What am I saying? This is free energy. Do I produce this energy? No. Where do I get it? Where's the power plant? The sun and the stars. I'm going to repeat that. This is free energy from the sun and the stars. And the powers that be do not want free energy from the sun and the stars. And that is the impediment that I have. That is the roadblock. We're all grassroots and people love what we're doing. But those in positions of power, those in the positions who feel threatened by this free energy do not want this.
Yes. Well, yes. There's been many situations of that, such that, right? So, tell me a little more about when this came to you. So let's learn a little bit more about Tom. So when this came to you, like, did you sense it? I mean, I've been telling people about this, 8.5 marathon deal that I'm walking across Ireland to raise money for. And they're like, why would you do that? And I'm like, honestly, I was walking across the Bird Street Bridge. I heard the words, it's time. We just had a videographer video it, redid the whole thing this weekend. And I just had a message that I needed to walk a marathon and donate the money. I can't explain it. Nobody sits down and plans this stuff. This is ridiculous. And so here we are. And at the most, I can just tell people I'm doing what I'm being told. So for you, what was your pinnacle moment, or was it not a pinnacle moment? Like, Tom, tell us about you.
Yeah, there's been many aha moments. There have been many, God has unfolded this over time. This has been a career on my part. It was a career on the part of Tesla, on Hieronymus, and other scientists. And I have to really punctuate, all of this is groundbreaking. You're not going to get this from a college classroom. There is no college textbook. You have to study this on your own. So some of the progress that I've made and other scientists have made has been painstaking. Anytime you have a new science and you have such a narrow field, well, then it boils down to 10 scientists working on this narrow field, trying to introduce this incredible free energy to mankind. So did I have an aha moment? Many. I give all the credit to God, because how could I have mastered this on my own? No, God help me. Not a college professor. I have nothing against, I have a high regard for academia, but God gave me this wisdom for this new and emerging science.
So were you already a researcher and it came to you? Were you, were you a baker and all of a sudden it came to you? Like, were you, changing someone's tires on a car and it came to you? Like, what was the crossover?
This was my life path. And I read about Tesla as a youngster, and I wanted to emulate Tesla. And I've spent my life trying to emulate him, or at least taking one sector, one small chapter of Tesla's life and trying to expand upon that. And that's what I've done. Right. And ever since I was 10, 11 years of age, I was reading about Tesla. I knew instinctively that Tesla was onto something. And I knew that Nikola Tesla was no longer working with electricity. I knew that Tesla had tapped into the free energy of the stars.
Right. Okay. So this has always been, since you're a little boy, you had a direction or a sense of direction, and then it just expanded. I can appreciate that. I did the same thing when I wanted to learn about brain health. Well, I didn't really decide to learn about brain health. I had a daughter who had challenges in school, and then I saw a PBS show, and then it was like carrots to a rabbit or something. I was like, and then I delved, and I just studied him and all his workings without him knowing who I was for a long time. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, the interesting thing is, it does sound very simple. It's energy. People call and make an appointment. I mean, how many people can you work on at one time? And when you said 5,000, I was like, there must have been machines running like, what was your hydro bill? You know what I mean?
I'm going to make this even simpler. We miniaturize the photograph. We have a computer uploader. And on our homepage, on our website, anybody in the world can send us photographs. On any given day, sometimes I've received 5, 6, 7,000 photographs a day. Okay. So what is my point? These instruments, because we're working with a miniaturized photograph, we can easily work with 2, 3, 4 million people a day. Today in my laboratory, I work with about approximately 500,000 people. So we have people from around the world that are submitting photographs to us. We have a website that allows anybody to submit a photograph for 15 days of free sessions. So the word is out now. If it's free and all I have to do is take a photograph with my cell phone, then I'll do it. And this is how the grassroots movement is really expanding on a day-by-day basis. I'll make a statement. I'm not afraid of this. Scalar light will serve to cure the world by way of a photograph. There's no impediment. There's no roadblocks. Everybody has a cell phone. Yeah. Everybody can upload a photograph. The computer uploader can manage tens of thousands of photographs a day. Some people send us group photographs of, say, a soccer team or a high school club, etc. So it's the numbers add up very quickly to this.
Oh, wouldn't that be interesting? I mean, I'm in Canada, so I remember, from a hockey standpoint, I remember when the Canucks were getting beat, and I said to some friends of mine, I said, they need Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has to go into that locker room, because they were you could see that they were defeated on the inside. I mean, it almost made me cry to see them come onto the ice, because they were, they were beaten on the inside. We didn't even need to play the game, I felt, as someone who understood energetics. And I was like, they need Tony Robbins in that lock. They don't need to practice more. They just need Tony hitting their skin and get them to feel in the love again. But I can imagine, how interesting that would be to have some of those before and after. So that's incredible that you can work with that many people at one time. I mean, that's a world cause in itself, right?
It is.
Yeah.
You get the big picture here. Now, this is tenable, people. This is not futuristic. Today, in my laboratory, I work with photographs from people around the world. And I had to put a number to it. I work with 500,000. I work with 500,000 people from around the world. Now, we're still a small mission. Well, once the word gets out, we'll grow. And the day is coming where we will be working with 4 or 5 million people a day. So mark my word, that trajectory is on target. I think you can see that, Deborah, where we're going with this.
So a couple of things is one, so you work on people, what is the projected time that you work on someone for 30 days? Is that what you were saying?
I use that just as a general rule. If you sign up from our website, we offer a 15 days free session. Some people only want to start with a 15-day session. But so let's just say either 15 days or 30 days. Yeah. Okay.
So there's 15 days or 30 days. So just to give some framework for people, right?
Sure.
Please tell us your website because I can hear them screaming already.
It's scalarlight.com. That is spelled SCALAR, scalarlight, LIGHT.com. Okay. And I offer the world free sessions. And we offer on the website 15 days, at least to get people, at least to acclimate them to this process. I have nothing to gain from this. I'm just giving away free sessions. What's the gain? The gain is world health. Why do I do this? I'm a humanitarian. This is my gift to mankind. I'm a Christian. I want to help the world. So why not avail yourselves to these free sessions? And if you want to share the website with 1 million people, go ahead. My goal is to at least eventually work with 500 million people a year. I would like to treat at least 500 million people a year. So please make that tenable within a near-term future by sharing the website and getting the word out.
Okay. So the next question that I hear when someone's inspired, they're inspired and they're those inspired people, it's like, how can I help? Like, do you have any calling for people to help you, support you? I mean, people like ourselves, we can help show the word, and media is always important, but I can hear, like, do you have people training to be practitioners? Do you have, like, there's that whole side of the world of metaphysics, people that they're like, oh my gosh, I'd love to help. And can I do that? Do you have that availability?
But let me say this, the best way right now, the most productive way is simply by sharing the website and getting people to try the free sessions. They're free. Okay. We have to at least introduce this. This has never been done before. My protocol is unique. I don't expect people to understand this. It's a groundbreaking approach of mine and my predecessor, a man by the name of Galen Hieronymus. After we get over that hump, Deborah, and once people experience this, then we can start to grow. And then we can have other outside sources, third parties that perform clinical studies and say, Tom, there's merit to this. We see some type of improvement in health. We can't necessarily prove it from a photograph, but at least we see by way of anecdotal conjecture that yes, that this is a benefit. So the free sessions, then we're going to get on to the point of having the world embrace this. And then finally, we'll have some type of college campus, some type of central learning facility. But it's a step-by-step process. You with me?
Absolutely. So is there any contraindication? So if someone was pregnant, or if someone had a certain condition, or if because if the immune system if someone's immune compromised, or has there been anyone that said, hey, I didn't feel so good after this?
Yes. I would say emphatically no. Why? It's not a chemical. Everything I do is non-physical. There is no chemical. So I'm sending information. It's light information. And because it's pure light, immaculate light from God, there are no downsides. This is not a biological process. This is a different realm of experience. This is the spirit world. This is the non-physical spirit world of light, quantum light. And there are no contraindications with quantum light.
Okay. Okay. My friend, is there anything that you would like to share? I mean, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've covered a lot of ground. I love that you actually took us to that next place about where do you see this, like the college campus or the, like ashrams or what have you, right? So where people can come and that tangible experience, people love that.
Yes, but let me be clear. I thank you first of all for this platform to speak to your audience. And I would like to continue with this narrative. Why? Because I have many testimonies that we could delve into that would further support this new science. Let's be blunt. I'm all about results, and I know people want results. As the saying goes, the proof is in the pudding. Perhaps we can have another interview, a follow-up, and I'll share with you the test results. And then I'll let the audience decide whether this is of merit or not. These test results or these testimonies, I have no influence over. There's no duress on my part. People simply take their photograph. After their photograph is treated, they feel better. And they'll send me a PCR test saying I no longer have any viral load for herpes. Well, I have no control over that PCR test, obviously. But according to people, after the scalar energy sessions, there's no viral load for herpes. Perhaps we could develop a narrative to really interest your audience that, yes, there's merit here, and that this is not just my opinion. There are thousands of testimonies on our website. I don't see how thousands of people could be mistaken.
Wow. Very, very interesting. Now, my next question is, when people send in their pictures, is there a questionnaire? Do they say what their issues are?
That's a good point. And why? The sessions are standardized, so everybody's treated the same. I am not a physician. I am not a nurse. I'm not. I don't want to give medical advice. This is not medicine. And with that, I want to, if you will, respect their privacy. I don't want to know their personal life. Frankly, it's none of my business. So if every photograph is treated the same, it's a standardized session. It's not pertinent for me to know your personal medical history. I don't want to know it.
Right. So 15, or sometimes people go longer. Yes. Tom, this has been a very thorough conversation. Is there, maybe you want to share one last testimonial, and then if there's anything that I have missed that you think is pertinent for people to grasp conceptually, and audience, I know you're listening. If you are not used to listening to energetic conversations or understanding energy, or that energy is science, or et cetera, you may need to listen to this again. I say that because whenever I read a chapter in a book, I'm a book person. So whenever I read something, I know when I haven't digested it, because when I leave those paragraphs, or I go to the next page, I'm like, so this is the kind of information, listening to it over and over and over again. It really is important, because then you start to, what I could talk about, rewire, become open to, understand. Some conversations about energy people could have all day, and I'm sure Tom's one of them, and myself included. But if this is new, if this is a new concept for you, really take the time to digest it. Listen to this podcast more than just once, and it'll start to layer itself. It's like anything. You go hear a good speaker, you take home 20%. If you really understand their workings and understand and come from the same sector, you're going to take in at least double that, because you have groundwork and you've laid the foundation. So listen to this over and over again. What have I missed? Have I missed?
No, that's very good. You're right. Let me crystallize our conversation. I have an instrument, a scalar energy instrument, that observes the laws of science. And in so doing, this instrument can take a microbe, a germ, and break it apart. Or I have another type of scalar energy instrument, can take the elements in the human body and create an amino acid. or a mineral or a vitamin. So we break apart with these instruments toxins and pathogens that are harmful, or we create micronutrients. We do that through an information system, a scalar energy information system. Does it work? Yes, it works by virtue of the fact that these are scientifically calibrated instruments. They're unique. Hence, my process is unique. I don't expect the audience to understand this. I invented this process. This is new.
Mm-hmm. So I've heard another question. The more we talk, we're gonna be here. So how long is this something people do every 3 months, 6 months? Is it a one-time go? Is it a lifelong, experience? Like, how often would one do one of these?
Okay, we start off with a 15-day free session. Why?
Yep.
People want to get their feet wet. I get that. And after that, if they think it's of merit, they can go to the website and they can pay for 1 month, a 30-day session.
Okay.
We allow people to make that decision. All decision making is within their hands. We don't, no way do we influence people. So it's month by month if people want to pay.
Okay.
And the reason we do that is because everybody's different. And I don't like to force people. And I want everybody to make a unilateral decision. Don't predicate that decision upon me. It's how you feel after the 15-day free session. You are in the driver's seat.
Right. Right. So people can decide for themselves how long, if they stop, if they come back, if they're wanting to. Okay. So it's if people feel like they need a tune-up, if they have that calling, if they're drawn to it. Okay. So okay, using the example, if something so those people, those 5,000 people that no longer are carriers, then that's done,
Yes.
like that's done, done. That's
Once you destroy a virus, from my experience, it's been transmuted, it's been fragmented, unless you become reinfected.
Yeah.
Now, this is our track record. I've been working with people for 30 years with these instruments. I've been studying this science for 45, 50 years. So this is not my walk around the park, people. This has been my lifelong research.
Yeah. All right. So you guys, in the show notes will be obviously the information to go to the website. And Tom will put, they can reach you through the website if they want to have more of an in-depth conversation. Okay.
Please do so.
Yeah, please do so. All right. Before I completely change the subject and talk about something completely different that I'm going to ask you, anything else?
No, it's a great interview. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So you are on your way to a desert island, my friend, and you are packing your suitcase. And there is room for just one album. And this is the song from the album that you could not imagine not listening to for the rest of your days, my friend. What album are you putting in that suitcase?
If I'm going to be on an isolated island like that, I would a classical piece. Brahms. Beethoven, Mozart.
You get one.
I'm gonna have a lot of time. I'm gonna have a lot of time to contemplate. I would probably say
Beethoven. Okay, Beethoven it is. I know it's a tough question, right? It's a tough question.
No,
music's vibration.
Yes, it is. It's a good question.
Yes. Okay. Now we know what your bucket list is for the next step in your, your career and having this college and what have you. What's a personal bucket list? What's something that you would, you just want to make sure it gets checked?
I have grandchildren now, and I want to build a world for them. I've lived my life, and I want to live to the point where I can leave behind something that's of meaning. So, when you become a grandparent, it's another wake-up call in life, and you see that the next generation depends upon you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being thorough. Thank you so much for what you've done and what you're doing. We're super, I am looking forward to having you come back and having those conversations about the testimonies and the experiences that people are having. How long have you just been taking this out to what we would say, take it to market? How long have you been sharing this? And
my website is now the 11th year. We're on our 11th year.
oh,
And,
wow.
yeah, we're slowly but surely people are catching on. And again, this is all grassroots. And I fault no one. This takes time. It's a new science, and it's not being promulgated by the media. Frankly, the media doesn't want this because this new science is a threat to the pocketbooks. It's a threat to the money-making structure of many corporations. This is free energy. This is what Tesla was working on. Nikola Tesla was working on free energy. Free energy changes the economic platform of the world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Wow, 11 years. Well, glad to be hearing about it now. I can't wait to have my feeling, send my picture in, share the word with you. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your mission, Tom. It is not a small one. So congratulations. And I look forward to you coming back, and you guys that are out there, you listeners, I know what you do. You share, you do everything that you can. If you're inspired, please do so. The other thing is there's people out there sitting going, man, I want to sit where Tom's sitting. I've got something that I need to share. It may not be as grand, and that's okay. There's people that take on the big stuff, and we take on the stuff. So if you would like to be sitting where Tom is, please don't hesitate to reach out. And you guys know, me and Corinne, we're going to be hitting the land of Ireland soon enough. We are going to be visiting. We're going to be visiting and doing a whole tour in August. So if you want to hook up, you want to see what we're doing, we're going to do some events. Then we are going to be going back the following, looks like June or July, to complete this whole 8.5 marathon project. So if you love music, if you want to support musicians, if you want to support people in the art of music, then please, I'm going to encourage you to go to the crowdfunding page. They Did It tour, and you can watch the coolest video of people sharing with you how music has changed their lives. And I'm sure it's changed yours. So thank you so much for being the best audience. We will see you again next week. Until then, be groovy. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.